The Middle of the Pack podcast.
I don't want people seeing me struggling to, breathe. I don't want to see people seeing me bright red sweat lashing off me as I'm shuffling down the road.
Hello and welcome to this week's podcast, the Middle of the Pack podcast, and that's our guest Gareth Franklin, where he's talking a little bit about his journey from being, struggling with weight a little bit and starting his journey from 5k to a marathon. So join us for a conversation between two people talking about their struggles about being out there for a long time during a marathon. It's great to have him on board this week for this episode of the Middle of the Pack podcast. So join myself and Gareth Franklin as we discuss his running journey. You're listening to the Middle of the Pack podcast. So how are you keeping?
Yeah, not too bad.
What is your day job? What do you do to keep you busy?
So I work for the BBC doing complaints and inquiries.
Oh, is that
literally anybody that watches the BBC, listens to the BBC, reads stuff online and isn't happy with what they see or just wants to ask a question, come through to us. So I handle all the training for people that take those phone calls, answer those emails, type up the letters. It's a really interesting job. Like, it has its moments. It really changes how you watch TV and listen to the radio, but it's brilliant fun at times.
And is that just the Northern Irish customers or anyone?
Anywhere, right across. It's mostly the UK based, so probably 80-90% of our contacts would be English.
Okay.
But we can get stuff from America, Canada, most of Europe. I think we've had stuff from further afield, like Japan, India, anywhere you can think of. People who can watch or listen to the BBC can get in touch with us.
Yeah, that could be stressful as well, though, if you're just dealing with complaints. It's majority complaints, then I take it, is it?
Yeah, it's most of the stuff is complaints. Occasionally you'll get a really nice inquiry of somebody looking like, I want to know, where was that dress from that so-and-so was wearing at breakfast this morning? Like, Naga Manchetti looked fabulous. How can I get her dress? And they contact us and we try to find out for them. Sometimes we can. More often than not, it was her own dress, sorry.
And that's full-time job?
Yeah, full-time job, yeah.
So not awful hours to balance your running career.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know other people who, because they do shift patterns and stuff, it's a lot more awkward fitting their runs in around their work, because as much as you love running, your work does kind of need to come first, because that's what pays you to keep running.
Yeah, well, no, you have to be able to pay for your shoes somehow,
Oh yeah, they're expensive.
Yeah. And how did you get started in running? What kick-started your joy for running?
So it would have been start of that wonderful period of, remember lockdown? Where I kind of thought I need to do something, because I realized that I was a lot more overweight than I thought I was.
Okay.
And it was only kind of sitting in the house. I thought, I need to get out and do something. So I started just taking walks when we were allowed to, one a day, because if anybody's listening, that's all I did. And then it got to the point my brother had started doing Couch to 5k, and he said, you might enjoy this, because we had done, there was the tag 5, run 5, donate 5 thing. And it was, you ran 5k, you tagged 5 of your friends, and then you donated £5 to a charity. So he had done that, tagged me, I did it, I hated it. The first time I went out and ran the 5k, I absolutely hated it.
Oh, I thought you hated donating money. It was...
Oh no, that was just part. That gives you the nice sense of well-being.
Yeah.
I do get that nice, warm feeling after a run now. But at the time, the only warm feeling I had was, the sweat and the thought of, I have to make it home now as well. Then started doing Couch to 5k. First few weeks, I was going out 5 a.m. because I got really self-conscious, because I was a lot bigger than I am now.
Okay.
And I kind of thought, I don't want people seeing me struggling to, breathe. I don't want to see people seeing me bright red sweat lashing off me as I'm shuffling down the road. So I found a river path near my house, and it was nice because it was quiet enough that you could run it and nobody was there. But there were still enough people that if something did happen to you, you wouldn't be there for very long before somebody found you. It
That's
just kind
great.
of went from
And
there.
was did the weight issue get worse during COVID, or was it just something that you always struggled with? And then,
Yeah, it was just something I've always struggled with. Like I wouldn't say it had fluctuated really, but in the past, I would have always tended to be more on the bigger side.
yeah, yeah,
And it tended to be like if something happened in my life, like something quite stressful, like a breakup or a family member dying, I typically would have responded by drinking a fair amount and going out and just eating the biggest pile of rubbish ever. You like sweets, crisps, fizzy drinks, all the stuff that if you take it in moderation, it's grand. And I
yeah,
mean, you'll be hard pressed not to find somebody who doesn't like a wee bar of chocolate or a packet of crisps. But the rate that I was eating and drinking at, it wasn't healthy.
yeah. So you went from 5K to the what then? Did you you did park runs and things? I assume.
Yeah, so I'd done, I think it was 3 park runs before lockdown. Again, it was my brother who he's a good influence most of the time. He got me down to do a couple of park runs, but because I was so unfit, I really disliked it because I was struggling around. I think my first one was like 50 odd minutes. And in my head, I was really, really disappointed in myself because you look at people running and say, oh, I can do that. But I couldn't. And I got really disappointed. I got in my own head. And then I developed a bit of a cold before my 4th park run and thought, this is the perfect excuse not to go back out again. So that chest infection managed to last, I think, 6 months just of not wanting to go to park run. Whenever it opened back up, I was straight back down to it and I absolutely love it. But unlike most people who do the sensible route of doing 5K, then up to a 10K and build up, I went straight from doing 5Ks and park runs to thinking I could run a marathon, which,
Ooh.
yeah,
It's
probably
amazing.
not my wisest move.
You're the same. I had a guest the week before last, and her first race, she hadn't even done parkour, and she decided she wanted to go out. Clodagh was her name. She wanted to go out and do a marathon. Now, did it the right way, did it did proper training block, etc. But I still going. But you obviously went. At least you started with a 5K and you skipped the rest. But even
Yeah,
as your build up, did you do any races? Oh, sorry.
um,
And we never explored whether you actually got to that marathon, did you?
I got to marathon and it still is my fastest ever marathon. So I hadn't joined my local running club at that point, and I used, I think it was a Ben Parks plan that I found online, downloaded it, tweaked the paces a few times, and managed to get around in it. I think it was 5 hours 15 or so, which like 4 years later is still my fastest marathon. My aim at some point is to break the 5 hours. I've done 4 marathons. Each one of the 3 after that one, I've got injured at some point during the marathon. Usually either my ankle, my foot, my heel, like very, very lower extremities of my body.
You're on the rocky road to Dublin now, but you have Belfast half marathon next. Am I right?
2 weeks, less than 2 weeks now, which in the build up to the Great North, for some reason in my head, I thought, oh, 2 weeks between Great North and Belfast, that is so much time. And now we're just under 2 weeks. Like 2 weeks is not a lot of time, but I'm looking forward to it. It's a lot less congested than the Great North. It's, I think overall it's a bit flatter. There's only a few wee bits like up around the falls in, I always get this wrong. It's part of Belfast. I think it might be west, but I'm not sure. My Belfast geography is terrible for somebody that's lived in Northern Ireland for 38 years. I can't tell you where most places are in Belfast, but it's the only kind of hilly, undulating, however you want to put it, part of the course really. But see the atmosphere up around there, it's absolutely incredible. I think there's like a Gaelic social club at the far end, just before you turn onto the Grosvenor Road down past the hospital, and they are out in force. Like there must be 60, 70, 80 people in this one corner. So you've just finished your undulating hills, and then you get hit with this wall of noise from them, and it just gives you that boost that you need for
Yeah.
the last couple of miles. It's absolutely incredible.
I mean, I found that with any of the races that you're doing when the support is there, like for the Cork Marathon that we had this year. It's amazing, that boost, and it makes you forget, because if you're inside your head and you're worried about your niggles, or you're contemplating your fueling, and suddenly you get this cheer like you're a celebrity. It just gives you that boost, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. Especially if you do a race that has your name on your bib as well,
Yeah.
and people shouting your name. There's a few times I've had to look around and be like, is there somebody else called Gareth running behind me? There's not. It's like, oh, they're cheering for me. And it's not because they know me. It's just, if you want to see the best of humanity, go out and watch a half marathon or a marathon. And it's partly the runners who are putting themselves through all manners of pain to run 13 or 26 miles. It's the people who are out primarily for their friends and family, but also for random strangers who they don't have a clue who they are, but they're still cheering them on as if they're their best mate and going, you can do this, you can make it through, finish this 13, 26 miles, you're smashing it.
It's funny because we recently joined a running club, Eagles Athletic Club, and we were worried that having a running club vest is like a target on your back, that people would almost be, well, maybe they do, maybe the people behind us are going, I'm going to catch that fellow that thinks he's in a running club. But it does, if people don't know your name, they'll still say, go Eagles, or, or they're shouting at you then. But for the Cork Marathon, my wife, she's good at art, so she actually wrote our names on the badges as well. And like as you said, lots of people then give you a shout. And obviously, if it's your hometown, people you're going to know some people, but there's the odd person who shouts your name, and it just gives you that huge bit of encouragement. It's great.
Oh, definitely. And whenever I did London, so I've done London twice last year and the year before, both years I've known, I think, one person definitely from my hometown Antrim who lived in London at the time. Both years she came out to Canary Wharf without me knowing. And as I was running through there, and it's a tough part of that course because your GPS goes absolutely haywire. You're far enough into the race that you're in pain, but not far enough that you think I've only a few miles to go. And then just hearing this accent shouting, "Go on, Gareth!" The boost that I got from that, I don't think she realizes quite how important that was both
Yeah.
years. Like, it was incredible.
And tell me about for the weekend just gone, and for Dublin, fueling strategy. How do you keep yourself going with fuel? What do you use?
So during the race, before the race, I would tend to take Tailwind. I think it's roughly 500 mils of, well, it's like 3 scoops of Tailwind mixed in 500 mils of water, and then have another 500 mils to a liter of water. Make sure I'm really well hydrated beforehand.
Uh-huh.
During the race, I've experimented with a few different gels, not during races. That's never a good time to experiment.
Yeah, yeah.
I found that Protein Rebel gels work best for me because the ones I use are like a maple syrup flavor. So they're very, very sweet. If you like sweet flavors, they're perfect, but they don't hurt my stomach. I've had with a few gels in the past. Not the first gel, but if I have to take more than one, I don't know what it is about them, but whenever they hit my stomach, I'm in trouble.
So you did your half marathon in 2 hours 15-ish?
The 2 hours, 12 minutes, and 4 seconds.
Yeah,
Although
well,
according to the Great North Run site, it's 2 hours, 13 minutes
so now
because
this is
measures a wee bit wrong.
this is an age-long argument in our household. Are you Strava? Do you go with your watch, your Strava, or the official race time?
I think for this one, I'm going for the Strava just because because you're weaving about, it does add on a couple of 100 meters. I mean,
Okay.
I've seen people who were 400 meters maybe extra after the Great North. Typically, I would go by the actual race time, but for this one, there's pretty much exactly a minute between my Strava time and my chip time. I'm going by Strava time.
Yeah, obviously your Strava time is faster.
Yeah, looks
Yeah,
better.
because we did the Yall half marathon, and my Strava time was 1:49, which was a mega PB for me. But my official time was 1:51, I think. And I was going, that's a lot, like, and if I want to be able to break 150, so I'm going to take the time. And it's, in about 2 years' time, I'm not going to remember any of the GPS stories or anything. I'm just going to remember what's on Strava,
Yeah, I think it depends what the difference is between the two. Like, I think if you're talking a minute, 2 minutes, go by Strava because generally it's because either the course is measured along your GPS has decided that it didn't want to play ball, or you've had to weave in amongst so many different people that you've just added the extra distance yourself.
And it's
But
not
your
like,
Strava,
and it's not like we're trying to qualify for Boston or the Olympics or,
oh yeah,
it's not the end of the world for us. So for a 2 hour 12 half marathon, how many gels did you take?
this time I took 2 gels. So in the past I would have taken maybe 3 or 4. I'd kind of gone between experimenting again during my training runs, not during races, with every half hour. But because I was typically on the slower end whenever I was training, every half hour, like, that was a lot of gels I was having to take, especially when I was getting up to the 20-mile runs.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've started doing it now where I try to do roughly every 4 to 5 miles, depending on how I'm feeling. So I try to eat something beforehand. I had a couple of sarin loaves, sarin. I never know how to pronounce that.
I don't even know where that sounds like a Northern Irish dish, is it?
I think it's Northern Irish slash British, and it's like a multi loaf type thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Really
you're
nice.
talking just for our kilometers, you're talking every 6.5 kilometers, you'll take a gel,
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
but
And
you're
then
stocked
because
up on a fruity loaf prior to that.
yeah, because that tends to get me between that and the tailwind, that'll keep me going that bit further. And
Yeah,
then if I'm doing roughly every 6.5 kilometers, by the time I would get to my third one, I'll know whether or not I need to take that third gel. So if I'm getting to the 19, 20 kilometer mark and I'm still feeling really strong, I don't need to take that third gel.
yeah.
But if I'm starting to feel like, oh, I'm fading a bit here, I take the third gel.
So for your marathon, then you're talking 5 to 5.5 hours.
Yeah. Hopefully under 5 hours for this one. Of fingers crossed, toes crossed, everything crossed.
So you could be
Yeah.
looking at 8 gels then. Would that be right, or 6 or 7?
Probably about 6 or 7. I would try for the longer runs like a marathon, I would try to mix it up with maybe some like jelly beans or something just to mix up even like the texture. Because taking that many gels, it starts to get in your head. It's like, I've taken so much gel here.
Yeah. You see, we've had this discussion again amongst the middle of the pack kind of runners where, a lot of people talk about a gel every 30 minutes and it's fine that, take 2 or 3 gels for a marathon. But for us that are out that a lot longer than other people, it is a case of we still need to fuel as
Yeah.
anyone needs to fuel. And it does get to the stage of that's a lot of gels. Even for a half marathon going out taking 3 or 4, it's a lot of gels. And tell me, I'm a bit of a shoe addict, so this is a normal question for me. Do you have a shoe rotation going on for your training, or are you a one shoe wonder?
So I would typically go between Saucony's and Mizuno's. They would be the two that I don't know why. Anytime I go into our local running shop in Belfast, I'm like, right, I'm going to check out the Brooks, I'm going to check out the Alpers, I'm going to check out all these different shoes. And the second I walk in and see a pair of Saucony's sitting there, I'm like, I like that color. I'm having those, please. After trying them on and making sure that they suit my feet and stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
It's only recently that I've gone. Typically, I would have stuck to like a trade-in shoe and used that for my races because in my head I thought I'm not fast enough to justify 150, £200 on not even a super shoe, but the shoes that have that bit more bounce in them that help you run quicker, I guess.
but you did unbox a pair of Saucony Endorphin Speeds, and they have a plate. It's not a carbon plate, though. Is
Yeah,
it?
they were the ones I got about a month or two ago, and it was the first time whenever I went in, they had them on sale. So I think that helped me justify it a bit better to myself that I might not be quick at the minute, but these will help me get to where I need to be so
Yeah.
that then I can buy the pretty expensive shiny shoes that'll make me even quicker.
See,
It's a pretty vicious circle.
I was a part of the Runner's Diary podcast. I was a leader for the Cork Marathon for them. So it's a little bit like Operation Transformation. They select various different people at various different levels and stages, and people follow your journey. So we were gifted with one pair of shoes, but we were also gifted with a coach. And I've stuck with that coach. And the first thing he said to me, if you're out for 4.5 hours to 4 hours in a marathon, you need carbon plate shoes. And he still would stick that by that because you need all the help you can get. So it's not necessarily that it's going to make you faster, although they definitely do, but you're also getting the assistance that they give you, particularly when we're out running, because it's a long time, really.
Oh, yeah,
We have it way tougher than the elite runners,
definitely. I mean, there's part of me would love to see the likes of Kipchoge going out running for like 6 hours. I mean, he could do it, no bother, and he would get a stupid distance.
Yeah,
But even he said that like sometimes running that sort of distance is tougher because it's mentally tough as well as physically. So like, if you're out running, and I'm not saying that running a sub 3 hour marathon is easy because it really, really isn't.
yeah,
But mentally, you're only having to put yourself through that pain cave for 3 hours. Whereas people who are at the middle of the pack, back of the pack, like you're talking 6, 7 hours. Sometimes you look at London and there's people are out for like 10, 11, 12 hours. I mean, I've done one ultra, doing 50 miler, and by the end of those, I think it was 13 hours for me. Mentally, I was all over the place. So I can't imagine doing a marathon for that long.
yeah, yeah. It is tough, and I assume now that you've taken up other distances rather than just going between. Well, no, you've done half marathons as well now. So, but what would be your favorite distance if you were doing races?
Probably either a 10K or a half because I think for a 5K, it's a great distance because you can leave everything out there or you can take your time and enjoy it. But I think for a 10K and a half, it's the perfect mixture of speed and stamina and just, especially for the half, like the mental strength of being out there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, whatever it happens to be. And it shows how much you can push yourself. And a half then gives you a good indication. Can I go further? Can I do a marathon? If you can do a half marathon and you're still able to walk at the end, probably yeah. If you can do a half marathon and can't walk at the end, then either you've put everything into your half and you've got a cracking time, or you're going to need to train a lot more to be able to go out and do the extra 13.1 miles.
Yeah, yeah, it is a big shock, and like it for me doing Cork, it was my first marathon this year, and when you hit that halfway mark, and you've just done a half marathon, and then you realize I've got to do the same again. It's like,
I don't
yeah,
think anything prepares you for that moment of realization. Like you can see it on some people's faces in their first marathon. They
yeah,
hit halfway, and they go, I've just done a half marathon, and then it hits and they go, "Oh no, I have to do that all again," and my body's just been through that.
and in Cork this year in particular, we join. So at the half marathon stage, they're just starting, and we've done a half marathon. So, but thankfully, we joined with the elites. So, like they were like bullets. Do you know what I mean? And it was on another 2 or 3 kilometers that all these fresh legged kids were running past us and making us feel really good about things. But yeah, no, it is. But both, like I think, the journey you describe of going to a park run, and then you realize when you suddenly do 3 or 4 park runs or 5Ks that you're capable of doing more. That's the brilliant part of the journey, because I'm sure you would be like me, where there was a time where getting beyond 3 kilometers was you'd never think you were going to be able to do that, and here
Oh
we
yeah,
are.
like even during like the first few weeks of doing the couch to 5K, I was hitting the 1 minute mark. I'm thinking, I don't know if I can do this a second time. And I had picked, it was the guy from Still Game. I want to say Sanjeev Kohli. I think it was him. I had picked him because I thought if an angry Glaswegian accent can't make me run, nothing can. And in fairness, then I started listening to him on the podcast, I guess,
Yeah.
and he was brilliant. Like it felt like he was supporting you through the whole thing. But then when he told you to run, you're like, okay, I'm going to run. And when you were getting to the 8 minute mark of having to run for 8 minutes, which if you're doing 5Ks, 10Ks, run for 8 minutes doesn't sound that much. But when you're starting out, 8 minutes is a long time.
Yeah, it is. And
And like,
I still think the first 3 kilometers are always difficult. And when you get over that, you're then loosened up and you can run on. Except nowadays, my coach has me warming up for for 3 miles before I run a half marathon. But then I think that just takes away all those psychological barriers that you have, so
yeah,
you get them done before the warm up.
yeah, definitely.
So what's your hope is to do 5 in Dublin, is it?
Yeah, that's the plan. I would love to finally. It feels almost like like that weight in your back of I'm never going to break 5 hours for this. And it was the same with with all my half marathons. I wanted to break 2:15 because I'd managed it a couple of years ago in Larne and then never got anywhere close. When I wanted to get 30 minutes for parkrun, I got 30:01 and then didn't get anywhere close. And it's felt the same with the marathon. I've got 5:15, and then I think every other one has been like 5:30, 5:35 because of injury. I hope if I can get to the start line without injury, without illness, all in one piece, and make it even to halfway in one piece, I'm mildly confident that this could be my year of breaking 5.
And will you follow a pacer?
I think so, yeah. I think I'll have to because I think that'll if you're running on your own for that sort of distance, it becomes really easy when you see your pace dropping to just let your mind drop basically. And
I'm,
you start to
assu-
go, oh, I'm nowhere near this.
I'm assuming they will have a 5-hour pacer, will they?
I hope so, yeah. I think Belfast might. I can't remember because it's a few years since I've done the Belfast Marathon. But I know that they have pacers up to at least 4:30, 4:45. I
Yeah.
can't remember 5. I think I'm not sure if Dublin's announced their pacers yet, but I'm pretty sure they have a 5.
Yeah, I need to find that out. But yeah, following a pacer is always a good idea, or at least having a good pacing kind of rhythm on your watch. But
Yeah,
if you've done 2:15 in the Great Northern Run, where you were kind of scuppered a little bit by toilet break and a little bit by the crowds at the beginning, then 2:15 must have been a little bit comfortable. So therefore, a lot of the stats would suggest that you will be able to do under 5.
that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm telling myself anyway. That between the toilet break, between the sheer amount of people, and the fact that I was actually able to still keep walking at the end,
Yeah.
I should hopefully, touch wood, be able to break the 5 hours. Not going to say comfortably. If I get 4:59:59, I'll be delighted. Just so long as that first digit is a 4, I don't mind what the next set of numbers are. 59, 50, whatever. I'll be happy with it.
And then we'll have to touch base again and see if you've actually achieved all that in some future episodes. But our time is running out, but it's been a real pleasure talking to you, and thank you for your time, because I know you've had a busy couple of days.
No, it's been my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. So we will keep an eye on your time, and as I said, we'll report back as soon as we hear what you do, and I'm confident that you'll do under 5. Gareth Franklin talking to us on the Middle of the Pack podcast. Join us next week, where we'll be returning to our guest Laura Fleming as she discusses her time working in a tent for the Dublin City Marathon. So more about her job as an emergency nurse. So thanks for listening in this week, and I do hope you'll join us again next week on the Middle of the Pack podcast.